You ever notice how people say they want commitment until commitment actually shows up? They say they want a serious relationship, a meaningful career, a purpose they can dedicate themselves to. But the moment something asks for their time, their energy, their patience, something inside them quietly pulls away. Suddenly, the excitement fades, and the question appears, what if this isn't the right choice? Here's the strange part. Most people think commitment is about choosing something, but psychologically, commitment is actually about choosing what you're willing to lose. And most people have never realized that. Think about a moment in your life when you were close to committing to something. Maybe it was a relationship. Everything seemed good at first. You enjoyed talking to them. You imagined a future. You felt safe. But then something changed. Not outside, inside. Suddenly your mind started asking questions. What if someone better comes along? What if I lose my freedom? What if I regret this later? And slowly, without saying it out loud, you created distance. You replied a little slower. You became a little less certain. You told yourself you were just thinking things through. But deep down, something else was happening. Your brain was protecting you. Because commitment is psychologically dangerous. Not physically, emotionally. When you commit to something, you close other doors. You say yes to one path, which means saying no to hundreds of other possibilities. And the human brain hates closing doors. It loves options. Options feel safe. Options feel like freedom. But commitment? Commitment feels like risk. This is why people scroll endlessly through dating apps, even after meeting someone they like. Why employees stay open to opportunities, even in good jobs. Why entrepreneurs jump from idea to idea instead of building one thing deeply. It's not because they're careless. It's because psychologically, commitment triggers loss aversion. Your brain doesn't just see what you gain. It magnifies what you might lose. Pause for a moment and reflect on this. How many decisions in your life were delayed not because the opportunity was bad, but because committing meant letting go of other possibilities? Think about that. The person you almost dated, the business idea you almost started, the path you almost took. Sometimes the biggest regrets in life aren't the mistakes we made. They're the commitments we were too afraid to make. But here's the twist most people never realize. The real psychological power of commitment isn't restriction, it's clarity. When you commit, something strange happens inside your mind. Your brain stops scanning for alternatives. It stops asking endless what-ifs, and instead, it starts focusing. Energy that used to go into doubt goes into progress. This is why people who commit deeply often move faster in life, not because they are smarter, not because they have better opportunities, but because they stopped dividing their attention. Imagine two people trying to dig for water. One digs 10 shallow holes in different places. The other digs one deep hole. The first person feels productive, busy, active, but they never reach water. The second person looks slow at first, but eventually they break through. Commitment is digging deep, but depth requires patience, and patience is uncomfortable, especially in a world designed around constant novelty. New videos, new trends, new options, new possibilities. Everything around us whispers the same message: don't settle. But here's the psychological irony. People who never settle often never build anything meaningful. Not relationships, not careers, not mastery. Because meaningful things require time, and time requires commitment. Think about the strongest relationships you know. They weren't built in excitement. They were built in persistence. In moments where leaving would have been easier, but someone stayed. Think about the people who became exceptional at something. Musicians, athletes, creators. They didn't master 10 things. They committed to one. long enough for the invisible progress to appear. Now pause again for a moment. Ask yourself something honestly. Is there something in your life right now that you care about, but you've been hesitating to fully commit to? A relationship? A creative project? A direction? Something that quietly keeps returning to your mind, but you keep delaying the decision, waiting for certainty, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for proof. Here's the truth that psychology keeps revealing. Certainty rarely comes before commitment. It comes after. People don't feel sure and then commit.
They commit, and then their mind slowly builds certainty around that choice. Your brain wants alignment. Once you choose something deeply, it starts organizing your beliefs and actions around that decision. This is why commitment can feel terrifying at first, but empowering later. Because the moment you stop asking, "Should I?" you finally start asking, "How do I make this work?" And that question changes everything. Life becomes less about searching and more about building. Less about keeping doors open and more about walking through one. And strangely, that's where freedom actually begins. Not in endless options, but in meaningful direction. So the next time you feel yourself hesitating, wondering if you should stay half committed to everything, remember this. A life filled with options might look exciting, but a life built on commitment is the one that creates depth. And depth is where the most meaningful parts of life are found.